I was sitting on a soundstage, and my director said, "Can you hand me your underpants? Because we're seeing them in the scene, and you shouldn't have underpants on, but we won't see anything." And I said, "Sure."
Getting a role in a popular movie can be a game changer for an actor. It exposes them to millions of viewers around the world and naturally increases their bankability and brand. But it might shock you to know that some actors end up regretting their time on the big screen.
This character is the closest to yourself you've ever played.
Yeah, in that I'm not really like Khaleesi.
Join us as we take a closer look at 15 movie scenes that actors later came to regret.
People that I used to talk to would come and go, "Hey, how you doing?" Go like this. "Hi."
From cringe-worthy lines to questionable character choices, these moments left a lasting impression on the actors involved, and not in a good way. Number 15, Emilia Clarke in Game of Thrones. As an actor, you sign up for a role thinking it's going to be all glitz and glamour, but then reality hits you like a ton of bricks. Take Emilia Clarke, for example, the mother of dragons herself.
Hi guys, it's Emilia Clarke. You might know me as Khaleesi or Mother of Dragons or Breaker of Chains or any of the above.
She thought she was signing up for a badass role in Game of Thrones, and she was right. But she had no idea that along with the dragons and the power, there would also be a whole lot of nudity. Although some claim that she knew what she was getting herself into, the truth remains that knowing something and actually experiencing it are two very different things, especially when your parents are involved.
So did you, so I'm always curious about this. Did you watch that episode with your parents, or do you try to get them to?
In one particularly memorable scene from the show, Emilia's character emerges from a burning fire unscathed but also unclothed. As if that wasn't awkward enough, Emilia had completely forgotten about this scene when she invited her parents to watch the episode with her. We can only imagine the conversations at the Clarke household after that.
Did you have to leave the room, or did you all just sit there and just kind of go, "Okay, we're watching this"?
Yeah, no, I think I probably started talking about something really important, like Top Gear.
Awkward doesn't even begin to cover it. It goes without saying that the experience left Emilia with some regrets. Not only did she have to endure the embarrassment of watching those scenes with her parents, but she also had to come to terms with the fact that once something is out there on the internet, it's there to stay. So, while Emilia may have initially been excited to take on the role of Daenerys Targaryen, it's safe to say that she now looks back on some of those scenes with a tinge of regret. After all, no one wants their most awkward moments immortalized on the internet for all to see. Number 14, Jim Carrey in Kick-Ass 2. We all remember the first Kick-Ass movie, the one that stormed the box office with a cool $96.2 million. It was a superhero extravaganza that left us all in awe. Naturally, a second movie had to happen.
We did as little as we could do, but it was fantastic. But it's amazing what I'm finding out is that you don't have to alter yourself a hell of a lot.
And in 2013, Kick-Ass 2 hit the screens with none other than Jim Carrey stepping into the shoes of Colonel Stars and Stripes, one of the crime-fighting heroes. But he was unaware that the role would come back to haunt him. Now, at first, Jim was all in for the action-packed violence that comes with being a superhero on the big screen. Everyone loved the scene where Colonel Stars and Stripes meets a grisly end at the hands of some dastardly supervillains. It's the kind of murder that's not for the faint of heart. But just months before the film's release, the tragic Sandy Hook Elementary School incident shook the world to its core.
The site today of a mass shooting, and this time, gunfire aimed at elementary school children.
Lives were lost, innocence shattered. It was a wake-up call for everyone, including Jim Carrey. Suddenly, he found himself at odds with the very violence he had portrayed on screen. You see, there's this thing called the butterfly effect, and in this case, it fluttered its wings in Jim Carrey's conscience. He couldn't shake off the thought that maybe, just maybe, the violence in films like Kick-Ass 2 could nudge people towards real-life violence. Call it a change of heart or a moment of clarity, Jim Carrey was no longer on board with the level of violence in the film. So, he did what any self-respecting celebrity would do. He took to Twitter. In a move that sent shockwaves through Tinseltown, he publicly expressed his regret.
It's not even a movie anymore.
It's not even.
It's a phenomenon.
It is a what?
A phenomenon.
Okay,
I did Kick-Ass a month before Sandy Hook, he tweeted. And now, in all good conscience, I cannot support that level of violence. My apologies to others involved with the film. I'm not ashamed of it, but recent events have caused a change in my heart. Some might call it a PR move, others a genuine awakening, but one thing's for sure, it was a bold stand to take. In a town where image is everything, Jim Carrey dared to show his human side, and that is nothing short of remarkable. In a world where celebrities often shy away from controversial topics, Jim Carrey stood tall and voiced his concerns. It's a reminder that even those we admire on the big screen are not immune to grappling with their own moral compass. Number 13, Sharon Stone in That Leg Cross.
Across the street, he sees Sharon Stone.
There I was.
He must have thought he's hallucinating.
Yeah, and I was like, we have to take a picture.
It was the scene that made her a household name, but for Sharon Stone, the infamous leg crossing moment in Basic Instinct will always be a bittersweet memory. In the 1992 thriller, Stone portrayed the cunning and mysterious Catherine Trammell, whose seductive tactics and sharp intellect kept audiences on the edge of their seats. However, behind the allure and mystery of the character lies a tale of manipulation and betrayal that Stone has been vocal about in recent years.
Basic Instinct is has the most paused moment in movie history.
What moment would that be?
It's towards the...
I'm uncertain. I'm uncertain.
In that scene, Trammell sits nonchalantly in a police interrogation room, exuding an air of confidence and control. With a simple yet calculated gesture, she uncrosses her legs, revealing a glimpse of skin that sends shockwaves through the room. It's a moment that has been etched into cinematic history, but for Stone, it's a memory tainted by the circumstances surrounding its creation. According to Stone, the now iconic leg crossing scene was not the result of artistic vision or creative collaboration, but rather a calculated act of manipulation and violation of consent. In an interview, Stone disclosed that she was coerced by director Paul Verhoeven to remove her underwear for the scene, under the pretext that the flashes of white were interfering with the shot. Assured that no nudity would be visible on camera, Stone complied, only to later discover that she had been deceived. The revelation came as a devastating blow to Stone, who had trusted Verhoeven and the production team to uphold their commitment to professionalism and respect. To add insult to injury, Stone only became aware of the deceit when she saw the finished film in a room full of people, leaving her feeling exposed and betrayed. In a moment of justified rage, she reportedly confronted Verhoeven with a resounding slap across his face. Verhoeven, however, has vehemently denied Stone's claims, dismissing them as falsehoods and fabrications.
Moving on to Sharon Stone and many people's favorite movie, Basic Instinct, Sharon Stone claims you tricked her without her knowing into the famous scene in Basic Instinct.
First of all, of course, it's a lie. Yeah, Sharon lied.
The conflicting accounts have sparked heated debate and raised questions about the power dynamics and ethical boundaries within the film industry. As the controversy continues to unfold, Stone remains steadfast in her stance, refusing to be silenced or sidelined in her quest for transparency and accountability.
You get pursued by a lot of young men. A lot of young men pursue you.
It's the baking.
It's the...
Number 12, Jennifer Lawrence. You know her, you love her, and you can't help but feel a twinge of sympathy for her when it comes to her role in the movie Passengers. This science fiction adventure, co-starring the charming Chris Pratt, didn't quite hit the mark at the box office, and let's just say it's not a performance she's particularly proud of. The backlash against Passengers stemmed from a controversial plot point that raised some serious ethical questions. It involved a rather unsettling disregard for the consent and personal autonomy of one of the characters. Not exactly the kind of role you want to be remembered for, right? But wait, Jennifer Lawrence herself added fuel to the fire when she revealed that she was not exactly in the best state of mind during those love scenes. In an interview, she admitted that she was too drunk to even remember filming them. Apparently, Jennifer had some serious jitters about shooting those steamy scenes. It was her first time filming a love scene after all. Add to that the guilt of locking lips with Pratt, who happened to be married at the time, and you've got a recipe for some serious on-set drama. I got really drunk, she confessed. But that led to more anxiety because I was like, what have I done? I don't know. And it was gonna be my first time kissing a married man, and the guilt is the worst feeling in your stomach. Talk about a Hollywood nightmare. It's no wonder she looks back on that experience with a healthy dose of regret. Passengers may have had all the star power in the world, but it seems like it was a bumpy ride from start to finish. And for Jennifer Lawrence, it's definitely a role she'd rather leave in the rearview mirror. Number 11, Elliot Page in Juno. In the movie Juno, there's a scene that Elliot Page probably wishes he could erase from history. As Juno, the pregnant protagonist, discusses baby names with Jason Bateman's character, the conversation takes an unexpected turn. Bateman suggests the name Madison, to which Juno quips, "Isn't that a little gay?" Cut to years later, and Elliot Page, now openly transgender, reflects on that moment with regret. Now, let's cut Elliot some slack. We've all said things we regret, right? But for Elliot, this particular line hits a little closer to home now that he's come out as transgender. It's like a pesky fly that just won't buzz off, following him around and reminding him of a moment he'd rather forget. Number 10, Dakota Johnson and Jamie Dornan in 50 Shades. The year 2011 was the year the 50 Shades book series took the world by storm, making waves in bedrooms and book clubs everywhere. It was only a matter of time before the inevitable happened, a movie adaptation. And who better to bring the steamy romance to life than the charming Jamie Dornan and the talented Dakota Johnson? But little did they know, their journey into the world of Christian Grey and Anastasia Steele would be anything but a walk in the park. As they beat off stiff competition to land the lead roles, they didn't realize they were signing up for a roller coaster ride of emotions, regrets, and some seriously awkward moments. Jamie Dornan, known for his brooding good looks and intense performances, quickly found himself regretting his decision to step into Christian Grey's expensive shoes. In fact, he hated the entire series so much that he couldn't help but let it show. Even while on a promotional tour for the final movie, Dornan couldn't resist taking a dig at the whole thing. In an interview with Jimmy Kimmel, he confessed. And then there's Dakota Johnson, the leading lady who had to endure more than just steamy scenes with her on-screen counterpart. She was only slightly more subtle about her disdain for the whole affair. While promoting 50 Shades Darker, she let slip that she felt kind of forced into being best friends with Dornan.
A pleasant surprise, Miss Steele.
Just Anna. You're in here.
I was in the area in business. Needed to pick up a few things. Are you free?
Yeah.
As they navigated their way through the ups and downs of filming 3 movies based on the controversial books, it's safe to say that both Dornan and Johnson had their fair share of regrets. From awkward press experiences to cringe-worthy love scenes, their journey was anything but smooth sailing. But hey, at least they can take solace in the fact that they're not alone in their regret. The 50 Shades trilogy has left a trail of raised eyebrows and awkward silences in its wake. It's like the guilty pleasure that everyone secretly loves to hate, or hates to love. It's a fine line. Number 9, Emilia Clarke in Terminator. The Terminator Genesis was a movie that left everyone involved wishing they could travel back in time and erase it from existence. It all started with Arnold Schwarzenegger, the iconic movie star who helped launch the career of director James Cameron with the original Terminator film. The second installment, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, became an even bigger success, raking in multiple Academy Awards and wowing audiences with its groundbreaking visual effects and heart-pounding action. Fans clamored for more, and the studio was all too eager to deliver, birthing a franchise that spanned decades, including sequels, comic books, and even a television series. Fast forward to 2015, and Terminator Genesis hit the big screen as the 5th installment in the series. Marketed as a soft reboot, it brought Schwarzenegger back into the fold and promised an exciting new chapter in the Terminator saga. However, what followed was a disaster. The film's poor box office performance and harsh reviews left everyone feeling like they'd been terminated themselves. But perhaps no one felt the sting of disappointment more than Emilia Clarke. As she stepped into the role of Sarah Connor, she quickly realized that this was not the adventure she had hoped for. Best known as the fierce Daenerys Targaryen on Game of Thrones, she herself couldn't save this sinking ship. In fact, she later revealed that no one had a good time making the film. Not even director Alan Taylor, who she had previously worked with on Thrones, could escape the disappointment. The planned sequel was eventually cancelled, much to the relief of all involved. It seems that the Terminator universe should have been left in the past, where it belonged. As they say, hasta la vista baby, to that regrettable chapter in cinematic history.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Number 8, Terrence Stamp in The Phantom Menace. Terrence Stamp, known for his iconic roles, found himself in a galaxy far, far away in the 1999 Star Wars film The Phantom Menace. Cast as Chancellor Valorum, Stamp was ready to shine alongside rising star Natalie Portman, who portrayed Queen Amidala. However, things didn't quite go as planned, and Stamp's experience on set left him feeling more like a phantom than a star. Rumor has it that Stamp only signed on to the film because he was eager to share the screen with the rising star, Natalie Portman.
That I have agreed to this calling. I love democracy. I love the Republic.
But when the time came for their scene together, Stamp's hopes were dashed faster than the Millennium Falcon making the Kessel Run. as he entered the set for a pivotal Senate hearing, there was no sign of Portman anywhere. Instead of locking eyes with his co-star, Stamp found himself delivering lines to a rather unresponsive piece of wall art. In an interview with IndieWire, the actor admitted, "It was just pretty boring." And let's be real, he's not wrong. The Phantom Menace may have left fans feeling as deflated as a popped thermal detonator. As far as Star Wars films go, this one just didn't quite hit light speed. Number 7. Bill Murray in Garfield. In a world where the sun rises and sets, where cats love lasagna and despise Mondays, and where comedy legends make questionable career choices, there exists a funny story of regret and mistaken identity. This is the story of Bill Murray and his fateful encounter with the surly orange feline known as Garfield. In 2004, moviegoers everywhere were scratching their heads in confusion as to why the comedic genius behind Ghostbusters and Groundhog Day would choose to lend his talents to a feline-focused film. As it turns out, Murray's decision to join the cast of Garfield was not exactly his finest hour. In fact, it seems that there was a bit of a mix-up behind the scenes. You see, Murray apparently thought that the writer of the film, Joel Coen, was one half of the illustrious Coen brothers duo. It's the kind of mix-up that would make even the most composed actor want to curl up into a ball and hide under a blanket. In a moment of comedic misfortune, Murray found himself trapped in a catastrophe of his own making. As the movie hit theaters and audiences were treated to the sight of a CGI Garfield brought to life with Murray's unmistakable voice, the actor's regret began to simmer beneath the surface. What had started as a simple misunderstanding had snowballed into a full-blown case of cinematic misadventure. Number 6. Kate Winslet in Titanic. Everyone remembers the Titanic drawing scene. You know, the one where Kate Winslet's character, Rose, utters those iconic words to Leonardo DiCaprio's Jack. It's the kind of moment that sticks with you, for better or for worse. At the time, it seemed like a bold and empowering move for Rose. She was defying societal norms and taking control of her own narrative, but it came back to haunt her in the most bizarre way possible. You see, fans can be a little overzealous, and by overzealous, we mean downright creepy. After the movie was released, obsessive fans were clamoring for her autograph on pictures of herself in the nude. In an interview, Winslet expressed her discomfort with the situation, saying, "I don't sign that picture. It feels very uncomfortable. Why would you do that?" One can only imagine the regret she feels as she struggles with the unexpected consequences of that one drawing scene. It's a classic case of art imitating life, and then life coming back to bite you in the most awkward way possible. Who could have predicted that a moment of artistic expression and romantic tension would morph into a cringe-worthy fan obsession? Certainly not Kate Winslet. And to we the fans, perhaps it's time to retire those questionable requests and let Winslet move on from that infamous drawing scene. After all, even the most passionate movie moments shouldn't follow actors around forever. Number 5. Taylor Lautner and Twilight. In a world where vampires sparkle and werewolves roam shirtless in the woods, one actor found himself at the center of a phenomenon that would change his life forever. Taylor Lautner, the man behind the brooding werewolf Jacob Black in the Twilight series, may have seemed to have it all during the height of the franchise's popularity, but now, years later, it appears that Lautner has some regrets about his time in the spotlight. The first Twilight series took the world by storm, and for a while it was all anyone could talk about. But as the dust settled and the series came to a close, it seems that Lautner and his co-stars are not quite as excited with their time in Forks as they once were. For Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson, the Twilight films may bring up memories of their past relationship, making it a bit awkward to revisit. But for Taylor Lautner, it's a different story. The man who brought Jacob Black to life on the big screen seems to have some lingering discomfort about his time in the spotlight. In fact, he's gone on record saying that he regrets the excessive shirtlessness in the films. The very thing that made him attractive became a source of frustration for the actor. It's like being known for your killer dance moves, only to realize you hate dancing. The backlash from fans and critics didn't help either. Suddenly, Taylor Lautner found himself at the center of countless memes and jokes about his seemingly constant state of undress. It's enough to make anyone want to cover up, both literally and figuratively. So, it's no surprise that Taylor has sworn off ever going shirtless in a movie again. It's a bold stance for someone who was once hailed as a teen heartthrob, but you have to respect his commitment to reclaiming his dignity. After all, no one wants to be reduced to just their abs, no matter how impressive they may be. While Twilight may have jump-started Taylor Lautner's career, it's clear that it also boxed him into a certain image that he's eager to break free from. Being known as the guy who never wears a shirt may have its perks, but it's not exactly the legacy he had in mind. Number 4. Finn Wittrock in Dandy's Massacre. In a stunning and chilling performance, Finn Wittrock took on the role of the spoiled, freak-obsessed dandy in American Horror Story, Freak Show, but little did he know that this role would leave him shaken to the core. The scene in question, Dandy's massacre of most of the remaining cast of the Freak Show. It was a day that left Wittrock feeling like he wanted to walk away from it all. You see, it's not easy being the villain, especially when you have to embody a character as twisted and sadistic as Dandy. Unlike some of the other terrifying characters in the series, Dandy's murders weren't driven by a lifetime of abuse or a quest for vengeance. No, he killed out of petty vindictiveness and a hunger for power. Looking back on his role in Dandy's Massacre, Wittrock's candid reflections offer a glimpse into the emotional turmoil that can accompany inhabiting such a dark and disturbing character. It's a reminder that even in the world of make-believe, the toll of portraying such intense roles can weigh heavily on those who bring them to life. Number 3. Dave Franco in Neighbors. In the 2014 comedy blockbuster Neighbors, Dave Franco found himself in a rather sticky situation while filming his first ever sex scene. Playing the character Pete Rigazzoli, Franco's role with Honsage's Brookshire left him feeling more than a little uncomfortable. He later revealed just how awkward the whole experience was, and it's safe to say he's not exactly proud of it.
I had my first sex scene where I show my butt, and I was pretty nervous because my butt doesn't look like...
But what really happened? There he was, ready to film a steamy scene with his co-star, only to wake up that morning with an unwelcome visitor on an awkward part of his body. Yes, you guessed it. A giant pimple had decided to make an appearance at the most inconvenient of times. To add insult to injury, Franco had to endure the mortifying experience of asking the makeup artist to come to his rescue. Imagine having to have a conversation that goes something like, "Hey, so I've got this massive zit on my behind. Mind helping me out?" It's safe to say that's not exactly the kind of interaction you want to have with someone you've only just met. Franco had to stylishly request that the makeup artist accompany him to a private room, where he then had to endure the bizarre situation of having makeup applied to his posterior. Now that's what we call a truly unforgettable movie moment, for all the wrong reasons. As if that wasn't cringe-worthy enough, Franco had to bear it all in front of a crew of 20 people, all eagerly watching his every move. Looking back, Franco's discomfort during the filming of the sex scene is understandable. After all, who wouldn't feel a little self-conscious with a giant pimple stealing the spotlight? It's a nightmare, especially when you're trying to maintain your composure in front of a crowd. But this is when things become a bit confusing. Despite Franco's obvious discomfort with the situation, he didn't hold back from sharing this rather personal experience with the public. It's a bit ironic, isn't it? On one hand, he found the sex scene awkward and embarrassing, yet on the other hand, he seemed more than willing to divulge details about his pimply predicament. Perhaps it's a case of finding humor in the discomfort. After all, sometimes the most cringe-worthy experiences make for the best stories. And let's face it, who among us hasn't faced an embarrassing situation that later becomes a hilarious story? It's all part of life's fascinating nature, as they say. Number 2, Jessica Alba in The Fantastic Four. Jessica Alba found herself donning the iconic blue bodysuit as Sue Storm in The Fantastic Four, but she had no idea her role as Sue Storm would lead to a storm of regrets. As the cameras rolled and the director called action, Jessica Alba faced a series of challenges that left her questioning her place in the industry. She soon discovered that being a superhero on screen wasn't all it was cracked up to be. In fact, it was more like being trapped in a CGI nightmare. In an interview with Sci-Fi, Jessica revealed the behind-the-scenes struggles that almost led her to hang up her acting cape for good. It all started with a simple request from the director. "Can you be prettier when you cry?" Seriously? As if crying isn't hard enough without worrying about how pretty you look. But it didn't stop there. The director had more pearls of wisdom to share. "Don't do that thing with your face, just make it flat. We can CGI the tears in." Here she was, trying to act like a pro, only to be told to dial it down and let the computer work its magic. As Jessica pondered these absurd demands, she couldn't help but wonder, am I not good enough? Are my instincts and my emotions not good enough? Do people hate them so much that they don't want me to be a person? It was a moment of emotional crisis worthy of its own superhero origin story. And then came the moment of truth. Faced with the choice of compromising her craft or walking away from it all, Jessica made a bold decision. "Eff it, I don't care about this business anymore." It seems even superheroes have their kryptonite, and for Jessica Alba, it was the pressure to conform to unrealistic standards of beauty and emotion. The Fantastic Four franchise may have soared at the box office, but behind the scenes, it was a different story for the talented actress. Number 1. Evan Peters. Evan was a young actor eager to make a name for himself in the cutthroat world of Hollywood. He eventually landed a role in a groundbreaking TV series, American Horror Story, and it seemed like the opportunity of a lifetime. But as the seasons rolled by, he found himself sinking deeper and deeper into a world of darkness and despair, portraying some of the most twisted characters ever seen on television. From playing a teenage ghost with a penchant for mass murder to embodying a twisted serial killer, Peters has delved into the depths of depravity time and time again. But as the cameras roll and the blood flows, he can't help but feel a creeping sense of unease. In an interview, Peters revealed the toll that filming such dark material has taken on him. "It's really mentally draining and you don't want to go to those places ever in your life," he confessed. And so you have to go there for the scenes, and it ends up integrating it somehow into your life. But it's not just the psychological toll that has left Peters feeling unsettled. Nude scenes have also proven to be a source of discomfort for the actor, particularly one involving a butterfly razor cutting in season 5. "It was just horrific and weird and sad," he recalled. "At that point, it was season 5, and I was more comfortable with the crew, so it's like, okay, I guess my butt will be out." There were some earlier ones that were very unnerving. But while he may find himself screaming in traffic or questioning his own identity after particularly scary scenes, he's managed to keep the chaos of his professional life separate from the calmness of his personal life. But one can't help but wonder if there are moments when Peters wishes he could turn back time and choose a different path. Is there a part of him that longs for the days before he became synonymous with the horrors of Murder House and the twisted tales of American Horror Story? We might not be able to answer these questions, but it is evident that these actors have all experienced moments of regret over certain scenes they were involved in. Whether it was due to the explicit nature of the scenes, the way they were portrayed, or the impact they had on their personal lives, these actors have been vocal about their feelings of regret. It serves as a reminder that even in the world of cinema, not everything is as glamorous or fulfilling as it may seem.